Since E3 2014, I have seen so many people hyped for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Tons of people pre-ordered or bought Wii U's just to play this game, and many claim that this game will single-handedly save the Wii U. Needless to say, I was pretty excited to get my hands on this title, and get a GameCube controller and play it for hours. Now that the game is out, just how is Smash Wii U? Is it the definitive Smash Bros. Experience? Does it cater to the competitive audience? Well, let me take you on a tour, a Smash tour, the wonders of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. First, let's start off with the story. There is none, and there really doesn't need to be. Well then, let's move on to what Smash is really about, the gameplay. And it is phenomenal. The game is all based around fan-favorite Nintendo characters duking it out on gorgeous familiar locations. If you didn't know, Smash is a fighting game, and its mechanics involve players racking up a percent every time they are hit. The more percent they have, the farther they will get knocked back upon the next hit. If the percentage is high enough and you see the black lightning, the player will be blasted off stage and lose a point or a stock, which is this game's life system. Also, there's a plethora of items to turn on to help you defeat your opponent, but I don't really use items too much because I personally think they are unfair. That isn't a flaw in the game since items are optional and you can adjust the frequency level, but I felt like it was worth pointing out. Now that the explanation of fighting in Smash is out of the way, let me just tell you that the gameplay is the best it has ever been in the series. From the perspective of a person who has put more hours into Melee and Brawl than any other game, everything felt perfect. I have no complaints with the mechanics. The gravity and physics seem just right. Plus, two characters are probably the most balanced they have ever been in the series. If you trade hard enough and have a lot of skill, it really seems like you can beat anyone with anyone. For instance, my friend trains a lot with Ganondorf, who is on the bottom of the tier list and beats a bunch of Rosalinas, Yoshis, and Zeus Samuses. Albeit, you could argue that some characters may not be good as others, and I won't elaborate the flaws and weaknesses of every character. But with what I have seen from For Glory in Smash Bros. 3DS tournaments, my statement still stands. Speaking of the characters, this is probably the best roster ever constructed in a Smash game, boasting 52 characters with veterans like Mario and Link, with newcomers like Shulk and the Villager. This roster is huge. I still haven't really decided who to practice a lot with, because I love each and every one of these characters. Speaking of the characters in this game, you can have 8 instead of 4 players brawl at once. This 8-player Smash is fun yet chaotic. Because of my small TV, at times I could barely see my fighter in this mode, and I would lose my character's location and self-destruct because of it. Due to this, I did not really play 8-player Smash too much. It's there for people who want to play it with more than 4 friends. It is just another optional mode that this game brings to the table. Oh yeah, there are tons of modes in this game. I'll only be explaining the new modes and additions, but anyways, you got your classic mode, all-star mode, bomb blast, home run contest, X-Man Smash, event modes, different variations of Smash, and of course, the new ones. First, let me talk about the new and most renowned mode, Smash Tour. Smash Tour is kinda weird, and I barely comprehend what it is. Essentially, it is a board-like minigame where players use their Miis to go across a board, collect items that power up a fighting attribute, or collect fighters themselves, or different items that can help you on your turns. The winner is determined by a stock battle at the end, where the stocks are the different characters the player has collected throughout the game. The idea of Smash Tour is usually pretty interesting, but the game fails to really explain what it really is. However, since this mode is optional, I don't really need to gripe about it. I mean, I will play with my friends, but I won't put hours and hours into Smash Tour. Smash Tour is fun when you want a little variation to your fighting game, and I could see from a party game perspective on when it would be fun. The other mode that I enjoyed was called Special Orders and is split into Master Orders and Crazy Orders. In Master Orders, you pay a small amount of coins, which is this game's reward for simply fighting and going into classic mode and also completing challenges, to get one shot at completing one of 3 random challenges in order to get a prize. This is different from Crazy Orders, where the entrance fee is huge, a whopping 500 coins and a ticket in which you can receive from playing other modes. You battle in a series of challenges to receive more valuable prizes, as with each challenge the difficulty increases. At the end of the time or whatever you want, you must conquer Crazy Hand to to actually keep your prize. And since the amount of damage you rack up does not disappear after each challenge, it makes fighting Crazy Hand somewhat difficult. At times I couldn't really defeat him because I had gotten too cocky and just kept on playing challenges over and over, and when the time came to actually face Crazy Hand, he would one-shot me. Plus, you only have 10 minutes to beat those challenges and defeat Crazy Hand to claim your prize, which adds just another layer of difficulty on top of those challenges. Personally, I had a great time with the special orders, even though I always had trouble defeating Crazy Hand. Luckily, getting back into Crazy Orders was never a problem, since Classic Mode granted me a sizable amount of tickets. I could just gush over how wonderful all of these modes are, but then we'd be sitting here for over 2 hours. Even though I love these modes, the majority of my playtime will be put into online Smash, which I do say has been pretty good so far. I have not really encountered a problem with frame rate issues, although I did notice some input lag, so I do have to say that even without a wired connection, that the online for this game is so far pretty good. Like I said, sometimes input lag did happen, and when it did, it was frustrating. However, the input lag was actually never noticeable for me because I was gawking at the amazing presentation of this game. This game runs at a smooth 60 FPS, never dropping to anything below it. Plus, the game looks stunning. This is by far the most graphically impressive game on the Wii U, and as you can see on your screen, the backgrounds, the HD textures, and the small, amazing, beautiful details are marvelous. I feel like no place shows this better than Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 8, and the stage from Yoshi's Woolly World. The dynamic visuals of Mario Circuit and the fascinating yarn detail in Yoshi's Woolly World is great. Speaking of the stages, I love the layout. Although I really despise stage hazards, they are still bearable in casual play. However, I found myself just playing Omega stages, or stages without stage hazards, since they appeal to my more competitive side. That being said, I wish there was a way to turn off stage hazards, so I could not always have to play an Omega stage on For Glory or in competitive play. Additionally, there is a stage builder that utilizes the stylus and the gamepad. I don't really enjoy creating stages, but it was fun drawing random shapes and watching them become platforms. And part of me is very curious to see what the community will do with this, and I'm very interested to play other people's maps. Something also worth mentioning here that I saw a lot of reviewers fail to mention was the music. It is simply spectacular, and the game's soundtrack is enormous. There are over 400 songs consisting of remixes and original pieces. I could listen to them for days. Words cannot describe how much I adore this game's soundtrack. For fear of copyright issues, I will not play them here, but you can listen to them all at any time in the game's musical library. I found myself sitting in my chair listening to every individual song, seeing which one is my favorite. Among them so far, my favorites are the Xenoblade Chronicles medley, the Donkey Kong Country Returns vocals, and the Duck Hunt medley. I really recommend you sit down one day and just listen to this game's soundtrack. You won't regret listening to this. Overall, this game is nearly perfect. The fighting is amazing, the stages are interesting and gorgeous, it runs smoothly, the online is actually good. This baby will engulf your life if you let it, and I could easily see myself playing this game for 500 hours in 5 months. This game is well worth the $60 price tag, and if you don't have a Wii U, this is definitely a reason for purchasing one. If I could give it a score, I would give it a 9.8 out of 10. This is about as close as a game I have played has ever come to perfect, and it is easily the best game in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise. But if you agree or disagree with my opinion, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching and take care. Have a wonderful day, and now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go play some Smash Bros. Wii U and probably never come back. Take care.